Saeid Zahedi is a former diplomat with extensive experience in international relations, sustainable development, and cross-cultural collaboration. He has worked in senior government advisory roles and in embassies around the world, contributing to policy development, research, and UN negotiations. Mr. Zahedi holds a master's degree in international relations. Originally from Iran and now living in Melbourne, he values community, learning, and the opportunity to contribute meaningfully to collective goals.
I'm going to talk about innovation, good governance, and how these two are interconnected and strengthen each other, especially when it comes to ending hunger and poverty. Let's start by understanding what good governance means. It simply means managing a country or organization in a fair, responsible, and transparent way so that everyone benefits. Innovation, as well, is often promoted as the key to ending hunger and poverty, from digital finance to climate-smart farming. But when institutions are weak or corrupt, innovation alone cannot deliver real change. This presentation argues that good governance is the foundation of effective innovation. Transparent decision-making, accountability, and collaboration among government, business, and communities ensure that new ideas truly reach and benefit the poor. We will explore why similar innovations succeed in some countries but fail in others, focusing on how corruption, poor coordination, and lack of participation block progress. According to the World Bank Worldwide Governance Indicators, more than 70 low and middle-income countries have seen declining scores in government effectiveness and control of corruption over the past decade. These two indicators that I said, they are important. Meanwhile, these same countries are receiving record investment in innovation, digital technology, and climate-smart agriculture. Yet, without accountability or coordination, those investments often produce limited impact. The governance gap refers to the situations where a country has lots of promise or funding for innovation, but weak governance so that innovation doesn't deliver its full benefits. It could be because of problems of implementation, waste of resources, leakage of funds, lack of scale, or etc. How governance mediates innovation? Usually it will be through efficiency and quality. Without strong governance, innovation funding may be poorly targeted. For example, governance subsidies might go to politically connected firms rather than the most capable ones. Regulatory delays or corruption may slow down commercialization. Let's talk about governance gap in some data. Many developing countries have increased R&D spending, research and development spending, launched innovation hubs, and encouraged startups. But yet, according to the World Bank report about worldwide governance indicators, more than half of them still score below average in government effectiveness and control of corruption. This mismatch limits how much innovation funding translates into real-world change. So let's talk about country example. We compare governance quality vis-a-vis innovation investment. If you see these four columns, the green ones is about governance quality and the orange is about innovation investment. I considered 4 countries based on 4 patterns of economy, 4 geography, or 4 a main difference in governance and innovation. The first in the left is Finland. Finland, according to the government effectiveness indicator, considered plus 2.0 for WGI. That is very strong. The WGI, what is it? It's a kind of government effectiveness indicator that is originally scored on the scale of roughly minus 2.5 and the maximum plus 2.5. So, and the more is the better. So if I continue about the Finland for control of corruption, this country has 88 out of 100. So considered very clean. And the share of R&D from GDP of this country, Finland, is 3.1% of the GDP. So it's considered top 10 in Global Innovation Index. So this excellent governance ensures every euro of R&D, I mean research and development, change into global innovation. So we could see it in their green tech or in something like Nokia. The second country is South Korea. Again, this country considered strong. The government effectiveness is 1.1. The control of corruption's index is 64 out of 100. And interestingly, R&D share in GDP is 4.9%. That is among the world's highest. So effective coordination between government, academia, and industry turns innovation funding into global competitiveness. But of course, when you see South Korea and compare it with Finland, you could see that in South Korea, there is still a little room and space for improvement about their governance indicators. The third country is Mexico. This country considered moderate and as we talked about, minus 2.5 plus 2.5. All 200 countries in the world, they are in the category, and Mexico considered on the middle. So lots of countries are in this category. The government effectiveness of Mexico considered minus 0.2. Control of corruption are 38 out of 100. And the share of R&D in GDP is 0.7%. So again, they have a strong innovation drive that is considered, the ranking is 40th in 2024. So they have large economy with innovation push, but corruption remains a barrier and uneven governance makes it slow in translation of ideas into impact. The last country is Nigeria in African continent. The government effectiveness is minus 1.1. The control of corruption is 26 out of 100, and the share of R&D in their GDP is 0.2%. Of course, it still is growing tech talent they have, but low infrastructure. So governance weakness such as corruption or inconsistent policy and weak institutions end up with prevent innovation funding from producing large-scale benefits. What I wanted to say in this slide is strong governance doesn't just manage innovation, it multiplies it. I repeat, it multiplies it. Countries like Finland and Korea show how effective institutions convert innovation investment into real progress, while weaker governance can trap great ideas before they ever reach people's lives. Innovation succeeds with good institutions. Let's look at some proper example. In Kenya, there is a company, M-Pesa, that is a mobile money platform that transformed the way millions of people in Kenya access financial services. This succeeded not just because of a great technology, but because the government created supportive regulations, encouraged collaboration between banks and telecoms, and built public trust in institutions. In contrast, when similar mobile payment systems were tried to in some other regions like parts of West Africa and South Asia, they often fail or remain small scale. Why? Because the corruption, because of inconsistent policies, because of the weak regulatory oversight. So, without good governance, even the best innovations can't grow or reach people effectively. So, the lesson here is clear. Strong governance turns innovation into impact. It provides a stable, predictable environment where entrepreneurs feel confident to invest and citizens feel safe to adopt new technology. So innovation doesn't thrive in isolation. It needs trust, fairness, and integrity behind it. The politics of hunger. Let's move to another point. Governance determines who benefits from innovation, particularly in food and agriculture. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, UNFAO, reports that around 735 million people faced chronic hunger in 2023. And unfortunately, in 2025, 773 million people, 40 millions more, despite a world of technological abundance. The problem is not the lack of innovation, but how innovation is governed. Let's go to some examples. In India, despite massive investments in smart irrigation and crop insurance apps, many small farmers didn't gain access. So studies show that improper influence and conflict of interest and poor targeting in agricultural subsidies exclude the poorest 40% of smallholders. Another example in Ethiopia, the government's Agricultural Transformation Agency introduced satellite-based soil mapping. It worked because the program was integrated into a transparent policy system linking ministries, universities, and farmers' union. So as a result, in Ethiopia, crop yields rose by up to 60% in pilot. Now, how do we fix this governance gap? It could be through institutional innovation, rethinking how decisions are made and who participates. For example, in Brazil, participatory budgeting. In Porto Alegre, citizens help decide how local budgets are spent. This process reduced corruption and redirected spending towards health and sanitation. The model is now spreading to over hundreds of cities worldwide. Another example, open data in food system in Kenya. The food prices data portal lets citizens and journalists monitor food costs and supply chain performance, creating a pressure for fairer pricing. Another example in Rwanda. In Rwanda, there is a platform, they name it Rwanda's Imihigo Performance Contract. Imihigo is a cultural practice in the ancient tradition of Rwanda. So public officials and governments sign annual performance contracts reviewed by the president and the citizens and the rural officials. A governance innovation that improved health and agriculture service delivery across rural areas. So it seems we have a difficulty about the policy fragmentation that is considered like a silos, and we need to have bridge between them. Often innovation projects are trapped within one ministry, one donor or NGO with little coordination. For example, in West Africa, a World Food Program initiative to introduce climate-smart storage facilities faced challenges because agriculture and trade ministries didn't coordinate, and poor farmers didn't welcome that initiative. In contrast, Vietnam's National Target Program for New Rural Development successfully aligned 19 ministries and local governments under one unified governance framework. As a result, poverty dropped from 58% in the 1990s to below 5% today. Of course, that success came from multiple combined policies, but the Rural Development Plan have had a key role. Let's talk about the path. To make innovation work for everyone, we must treat governance reform as a formal innovation itself. Here are some of the key reforms: transparency through technology, such as digital monitoring, e-procurement, and open budget, of course, that's important. Inclusive governance, that's another one. For example, local voices in design and delivery of innovation. Another one, cross-sector collaboration that connects, or I can say break silos between government, academia, and private sector. Accountability mechanisms, such as performance reviews, and building skills and institution strength. It means creating strong systems, rules, and habits in a country or institutions to keep working no matter who is in power. So, in conclusion, innovation can build drones to monitor crops, digital apps to deliver food, and AI to protect harvests, but it cannot build trust. That is the job of governance. Good governance turns innovation from a technical fix into a social contract, one that includes the poor, rewards integrity, and sustains progress. If we want innovation to end hunger and poverty, we must first innovate how we govern. Thank you.